Assalamu alaikum. Lecture 45 of Advanced Cost and Management Accounting. This is the last lecture of our course. We have done 44 lectures considering what is cost and management techniques and how to manage the costs and how to manage businesses and what different types of analysis to make and improve businesses, grow businesses, and therefore grow the economy and grow the country. Make a good contribution, make a contribution to the organization that you work in, and therefore have a good career. These are my thoughts and these are my wishes for all those who listen to and attend this course. I wish them a lot of success. I wish that they go in and become excellent managers and excellent managers of businesses and have therefore excellent careers for themselves. This last lecture, I have chosen to cover the topic of business ethics. Business ethics is actually a very large topic and can have an entire course, and probably does have in your courses an entire course on business ethics. But because of its importance and because how important it is for our businesses and our environment to adapt our businesses to ethical practices, and because of the great need for us in our environment and our society and our country, I would prefer that a course on business ethics is included as a small part of every single course that we do, so that it reminds us of the importance of business ethics in the growth of business, in the growth of companies, and in the growth, therefore, of our managers and population and the country at large. I am giving this importance to business ethics for what reason? If we look at today the successful businesses in the world, the largest growing businesses, the largest economies of the world, and we try to see how they do business. How do they manage their businesses? What are their practices? What are their ethics? While we want to learn all other industrial and mechanical and production aspects and acquiring technology and all the other things in order to have good, efficient businesses, we very often forget that ethics is an extremely important part of conducting and growing the business. It might come as a surprise, but it is very plain to see that all the big successful companies of this world, all the larger growing businesses and the larger growing organizations have a very clear, articulated code of ethics, which is ingrained to the employees and trained, and it is repeatedly shared with the employees so that the employees fully understand the code of ethics of the organization, and they are committed to following and working according to that code. So those who are successful in this world are following a very stringent code of ethics in terms of business. Why would they do that? Why should a business, which is a large business, care about the code of ethics, care about the conduct of the employees and the conduct of the organization? It is obviously clear to them that it is good for business. Their reason for being in business is growth and profitability. They have set themselves, as we have discussed, goals and objectives shared down the line in management to the employees, to all different parts, to all different areas of the organization. Why are they giving it so much importance? Because they understand that good ethics is good business. Let's look at one or two things about what these business ethics are and what are the things we are talking about and what are the things that are being covered. And we will discuss this as we go along in various different contexts. But in the introductory manner, if we want to cover what is business ethics and what it might include providing the goods that you declare that you are providing, declaring the contents and the ingredients on the product, and ensuring that standards exist so that the actual product is meeting the specification. It is meeting what you are declaring. You are not saying one thing and selling another. You are not trying to make short works, make shortcuts, and trying to just make things go. Let just so long as you are selling. You are not cutting the standards. You are not cutting on quality. You are not these are all related to the product. I am talking at the moment business ethics related to the product, what you are selling. What you are selling should be exactly what you are saying you are selling. So this is one aspect of one very small aspect of business ethics, that you are saying you are selling an X product, it has X ingredients, it has this kind of manufacturing process and dates. That's exactly how it should be. The ingredients that you acquire, there should be no adulteration in that. There should be no departure from quality standards. There should be proper inspection. So all these are aspects related to the product. So business ethics, one part of the product is that you are providing the product that you are saying you are providing. Why should you do that? We just discussed that these businesses, these large businesses, they pay a lot of emphasis. What is their objective? Their objective is growth of business. If they want to grow business, they are paying so much attention to getting it right, to making sure that what you are delivering is what you are saying you are delivering, making sure that the pricing is as you are saying it is, the quality is as you are saying it is. That is going to generate goodwill for the organization. The customers are going to feel satisfied and they're going to come back for repeated purchase of that. If a customer has a good experience, he will share with others. If a customer has a bad experience, he will share with more people than he will share a good experience. Nowadays, the question is not of customer satisfaction. It is going beyond that. It is a question of customer delight. The customer should be delighted with what you have offered them, so that they will continue to acquire as and when they need, and then they will give good references. This is going to grow the business. This is going to bring growth. What does it involve? Integrity and honesty. These are the things that we are talking about. That you should project the product exactly as it is, set out the specification, and you make sure that your processes are established to meet the specification. In order to meet the specification, you don't try to dilute some aspect. You don't try to change alternative substitutes. You don't try to bring in cheaper alternatives which are not according to the specification. So the businesses are doing that because they believe that this is what is required to grow the business. For successful businesses, They are following a code of ethics which all the employees are required, and the stringent standards are built in to ensure that this practice is adopted and followed by the organization. We said, why should they do it? Because they believe that this is what is going to give them good business. I want to then reflect a little bit about the businesses in our country and in our environment, and the experiences that we have when we go out to the markets and we buy little small things. And we should think, and the producers and the businessmen should think, is the customer that comes to us, when he leaves, is he a satisfied person? Is he a delighted person? Or when he goes back and consumes the product, whatever he has purchased, will he then be delighted by what he has acquired? Or are we involved in trying to cheat the consumer in some way, find some shortcuts, make some cost saving, say something, give something else, even if it's rotten, pass it out, give it on? This is a very short-term perspective. This is a very short-term view, A, of your business, and B, of yourself. Trying to get gains, and this means by shortcuts. Short means violating laws, violating ethical practices, violating honesty, violating integrity. We have to be aware of this. This is having an impact on our business. If we find that today our businesses are going down, we can be sure that one of the reasons is that our ethical practices are going down. People prefer to buy from outside because they believe that the practices are more ethical, the product is more honest, the reflection of what is being said, the truth comes out. So we have to take stock of what we are doing. We are going to be managers. All you students are going to be, inshallah, managers sitting in organizations and businesses, small, large, whatever size. And you will be making decisions that are going to affect your companies and your own selves and your own lives. Dishonesty, trying to defraud people, trying to cheat people. How can that bring prosperity and growth? How can that result in affluence? It's all very short-term thing. You might think that, oh, this deal I might make, and therefore this is an advantage here. You break laws, you break other practices, you break standards, you break qualities. It is not going to end up in practices that are desirable. It is not going to end up in businesses that are blooming or cherishing. For us, the concept should go even beyond just the thought of our business. We should think of our environment. We should think of our organization. We should think what environment our generations and our children will live in, what goods they will consume, what they will eat, what they will consume. If we are going to cheat our customers today, then our children are going to be cheated by somebody else, and they might end up cheating others. What is going to be the society? What is going to be the society that we will make of if we do not adopt practices that are ethical, if we do not adopt practices that promote honesty and integrity? I want to consider this in more detail, and we are going to involve discussions with senior executives from practical lives and take their views and see what they have to say about business ethics, what they should be, and how they are. Business ethics is an important part of any business activity. Students or managers unfamiliar with many ethical challenges or behaviors will find themselves struggling in business areas that include finance, accounting, or human resource management, marketing, and retail. In fact, whatever area that you look at, whatever area of business that you work in, we are saying that you should be familiar with the challenges, ethical challenges that are going to be posed. If you are unfamiliar, you might find yourself struggling. As a matter of fact, a lot of our businesses are struggling. You don't find that businesses that you can see are thriving. And I'm making a pretty general statement, a generalized view of our overall situation. And it is for us to consider this seriously, that if our businesses are suffering, then there might be other factors, but ethics is going to be a big factor. There might be other factors involved, but ethics is going to pull you down, and you are going to make decisions which are going to impact your business adversely, and thereby your life. It is going to impact adversely if you are involved on a day-to-day basis in matters of dishonesty and of cheating and of integrity issues. So students, they need to be aware. You are going to step after your education into business. Now, how to decide what is good ethics and what is not? That is generally not a difficult thing to assess. Somehow, everyone knows when a practice generally is ethical, acceptable, or unacceptable. Usually, we know when we are doing an unethical practice that it is unethical. This means that the Creator has put some kind of a check within each person, each of us, inside the heart. There is a mechanism that accepts and rejects truth and false. And inside, you know this is wrong. So it is not a great matter of difficulty in having a long list of code of ethics that, oh, because we don't have such a long list of code of ethics, therefore we don't know what good ethics are, and we don't know what good behavior should be, and therefore that's where we are lacking in this area. Every single one knows when you are committing an unethical act. In a recent conversation, someone pointed out to me on a lighter note that even if a child of 1 year old, you tell him not to do something, and if he does it and you see him, he'll put his hand behind his back. If he has something in his hand he's not supposed to have, and he's taken it, and you look at him, he'll try to hide it and put his hand behind his back and pretend that he hasn't done it. But even he knows when he's putting his hand behind his back that he's doing something which he shouldn't have done. So this is not an issue for us to establish what is a good ethics, what is good criteria. We have been given lessons on this. There are, for us, message of the Quran and message of the Prophet. All of them contain excellent behavior, excellent ethics, excellent attitude, and a promise for an excellent reward. But only if we can come around to thinking like that. that the reward lies in the good deeds, in the ethical practices, in truth, in following the right practice, and not the other way around, which we think is a momentary gain and we should grab it. And as I said, those people who are leading the businesses in the world today, they are paying a lot of emphasis to ethics and ethical practices and the codes within the organizations to be shared with their employees, with their lenders, with the suppliers, all others. So those organizations are giving attention to this aspect, and they are convinced that this is how businesses should be run. So students are going to be involved in businesses, management position, and inshallah, as they grow in times to come, in very senior management positions. And so they will be aware that the practices they adopt, whether they are ethical or unethical. Unethical behavior. Today's managers must necessarily concern themselves with ethical issues because unethical behavior creates legal risks and damage to businesses as well as employees and consumers. Business ethics have become an integral part of business education in general. Ethical or unethical behavior, we are saying, that can lead to legal risks. It can lead to all kinds of risks. In fact, the businesses can be shut down if they are not following proper ethics. There are many examples in this world of small and large businesses alike where their practices have departed from good ethics. Those businesses have collapsed and ended at some stage. So we are saying that businesses can be damaged by practices. The businesses are built on reputation, and reputation is going to, this is a matter that it's how far you think, where you think a business should go. It's your vision, and it's a vision. If you are in business, you would like that to continue for your generations and for your children. So it's a vision for your children and their generations. And if you are going to look that far, then that's how the business is going to grow and develop and last. Because then you will do things accordingly to ensure that they last. Businesses are built through reputation. They are built through goodwill. And goodwill will not come out of poor practices. So if you want to do something just today and just do a business so that you can spend some time and that's the end of it, that's a different matter. But if you want to grow a business, have a vision, then you have to adopt straighter, good practices. This is what's demonstrated by the world. This is what we are taught, and this is our guidance. This is what brings benefits to the organization and to the environment and society as a whole. Truthfulness is an important part of business ethics. How you behave. For us, it should be a very easy matter to believe, because it is our belief that all our deeds are being recorded. We believe that. Everything that we do is being recorded. Someone is watching, and we will be held accountable. So it should be, for us, a few steps ahead of those who don't have the same belief. Because for us, it's not only a matter of growing the business here and now, but for the matter to be recorded and later brought up, and for us to have a reward, which is a much greater and greater lasting reward. So that's a perspective that we should add to our business, and we should add to our lives, and we should add to our vision. A student or manager who is well versed in ethical behavior and practices, not only in domestic market but internationally, will find him or herself better prepared to deal with issues or situations that may arise and don't always involve easy answers or decisions. You might want to, but you can't look for easy answers all the time. You have to take difficult decisions. Your life is going to be spent taking all kinds of decisions, many of them very difficult. Ethics might sometimes lead you to taking difficult decisions. Concept of values. Each one of us, from the individual consumer to the CEO of an international corporation, is affected in some way by business ethics during the course of his or her life. Therefore, everyone has a stake in the ramifications resulting from unethical business decisions. Here we are saying that all of us are going to be faced with situations where we have to take decisions, and it is going to affect our lives, from the most senior to the most junior, from the youngest to the oldest. All of us are going to be faced in many times in many parts of life where unethical business and those decisions taken are going to affect us. They are going to affect us, and as I said, they are going to affect our society. So we should attempt to make a contribution to the society so that it becomes a society for our children the way that we would like to see it. It's very easy to say that it can't be done, and this is not the way here, and I will get stuck, and there's no time, and this is a waste of time, and this is a waste. You are contributing to the society that you live in and the society that your children will live in. How important is that? How important is it for you that you leave behind something that your children are going to adopt? Business ethics offers an introduction into the concept of values, morality, culture, beliefs, upbringing in all areas of business and all areas of life, from consumer rights to corporate social responsibility. So we have discussed the concept of values, the concept of morality, and what is right and wrong, and behavior and upbringing, truth and honesty. There's nothing very new about this. There's nothing very fantastic about this. It's very plain, and it's very plain to see. And you can see that in many examples. And we are going to discuss this, and our guest is going to be Mr. Anjumani Sansari, and he will reflect what his experience of values and morality and honesty has been throughout his very illustrious career. Anjum Saab, welcome to this session. I would like you to share with us your experience of business ethics in the various organizations that you have worked with in this country, and also to let us know what are the things that are included in business ethics, what type of concepts are included, and how should we think about business ethics?
Well, in very simple terms, Shahid, it's anything written or unwritten. It's a set of principles, norms, values that sets the standards and govern the decision making and behaviors of people in any organization. That's what I would say in very simple terms is business ethics. Now, business ethics can be looked at from different viewpoints, and there are different arguments. And somebody says that if you got to look at it from the standpoint of a shareholder, then one argument is that anything which really makes profits, any attitude which makes people work towards making profits is like doing the business in a right way. Business ethics actually determines what is right and what is wrong, what is moral and what is immoral. And when you look at it from the point of view of a larger perspective, which is the perspective of the stakeholders, then it includes the employees, it includes the suppliers, it includes the government, it includes the media, it includes the community, it includes the residents, and it includes obviously the shareholders which are there. And that gives it a fully total blanket of what should be our attitude and as to how we should be looking at it in terms of what we do. And it then takes into consideration the impact on each and every of the stakeholders of your decision making. And it's many a times people in the industry are faced with dilemmas, which are called ethical dilemmas, that whether it is right or wrong, is it falling in the right area or a wrong area, whether it is moral or immoral, ethical or unethical, and whether it is black or gray. And at times there is that blurred vision in the minds of the people, and they are unable to decide it. And I have a very simple test for that. And that is, number one, whatever position we are taking, is it truthful? Is it fair to the people getting impacted? Does it really build a goodwill for the organization? And is it beneficial to anybody and everybody which is around us who will have a vested interest as a result of that decision making that is being taken place? If the answers are yes to each of these, then it's something which is very clear that it is the right path. Then it's ethical. But there are times, there are other tests also that you can put to it, to your decisions as such, that whether it's in a business environment or in a non-business environment, it's a very simple thing that whatever you do in terms of determining whether it is right or wrong, the question is, if I make it public, if it's known to my family, to my friends, the community in which I live, the people with which I work, how would they look at it as if that it is a right action or a wrong action? And if you're comfortable with all of those things, then mostly you're making a right decision. But where there is a doubt, you must revisit, relook at it, rethink at it, and come back with a decision with which you feel comfortable. These I see, these are normal, my ways of looking at things where we should give you a comfort level. These are very simple rules of determining between right and wrong.
अंजुम साहब ये बताइए कि कॉर्पोरेट एनवायरनमेंट में, कॉर्पोरेट कल्चर में और कॉर्पोरेट कंडीशन में जहाँ पे लोग एक दूसरे के मातहत काम कर रहे हैं, तो वहाँ दूसरे का बात माननी, हुक्म मानना, ऑर्डर सुनना, इंस्ट्रक्शन माननी, ये भी चीज़ चलती है, होना ज़रूरी होता है. तो वहाँ पर कैसे आप रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फिक्स कर सकते हैं और कैसे आप इस चीज़ को ज़्यादा फ़रोग़ दे सकते हैं कि ज़्यादा लोग इसके ऊपर कॉन्शियस हों?
It's very simple, Shahid. I think responsibility in चीज़ों की जो जिम्मेदारी है, that has to be assumed by the leadership within an organization. Because it's very simple, no matter what values or written statements or set of core values that you put into the vinyl trophies or into the shields and you put it onto the walls everywhere, if people see that their superiors are acting in contradiction to that, that is what they pick. What really forms the culture is the behavior of the leaders within the organization. If they behave and they follow certain ethical practices, then the others would also follow it. If they don't follow it and they only speak of those things, and those are found to be shallow words, not backed by the true examples, they're leading by example and setting examples, then it will not be picked up that way. So the culture, in terms of creation of the culture, to begin with, the initial responsibility rests onto the shoulders of the leadership within the organization. If the leadership takes that role and plays it properly, then you will have that culture and people will start following it. And they don't have to give orders in that case, because they will just see as to how they are acting. Their practices would be followed in that way.
Introduction to business ethics. What is the definition? We can define business ethics in many ways. It's a way of doing what you do. And basically, the ethical way is to follow truth and honesty, and the unethical way would be the contrary, in trying to mislead and misguide and thinking that this is advantageous. Role in various types of business structures. The role of different persons in different kind of business structures can be different. If there is a small organization and the owner is managing the business and he's sitting there, his role is going to be somewhat different to a larger organization where there's a large team of professional management sitting and there are many different hierarchies and everyone is performing and he has to report to their seniors, superiors, and so forth. So the role can be different, and very often the challenge will be according to the role. And there might be times where your values and your practices might not be matched by the people who are even more senior to you. So there the challenge is enhanced, and there you have to then deal with that position and make your stands. Accept only what is correct. Why are ethics in business important? We have discussed why they are important from the business perspective. And we also have to incorporate in that the society perspective and the country perspective, as well as the guidance that we are given and for the reward that we are promised. Ethics in the workplace, small business ethics, code of conduct. While referring to ethics, we are normally in business courses and in colleges referring to the business environment. In actual fact, the ethics that one has should be no different in your business, in your workplace, and away from your workplace in your private lives. This is a way of thinking. Honesty is a habit. Truth is a habit. It is not confined to business so that the business can be grown. As I said, it has a larger implication, and it is not a workplace restriction. As soon as you walk out of the business, because now the business is not a concern, so now your ethics change. The ethics are there for all times, for all places, and the reward is there for all of the good behavior. Corporate responsibility, scope of responsibility to shareholders, to customers, to suppliers, lenders, government departments, and so forth. These days, there's also in vogue the aspect of corporate responsibility. It is corporate social responsibility, it's called CSR. What the corporations are doing, that's one aspect, and what the companies and the employees and their responsibility is to the stakeholders. That's the other aspect. The corporate social responsibility is what the company is doing in the society and how it is trying to improve the society and make good contributions in terms of the environment and in terms of what their effluent and all their other disposal, waste disposal, etc. And that has to be done in a manner that is not harmful to the environment. And then organizations are setting up schools, setting up small hospitals and clinics and eye clinics and so forth, and trying to do tree plantations and all that things that improve the environment. And that is a corporate social responsibility, that you are a social entity and therefore you must make a good contribution to the society. This is also good ethics, it is good practices. In terms of the responsibility to the stakeholders, that is basically on the management and the employees, and they are required to act with truth and honesty, to declare information that is going to reflect the correct position. So honesty and integrity is going to be an aspect that is going to be needed in all aspects, and especially where you are managing people, then your integrity and honesty with those people, and where you are producing accounting and other information, then the integrity and accuracy of that information. Consumer rights. Consumer protection is of significance today, and many steps have been taken in order to protect consumers and therefore reflect on meeting the standards and avoid things that are harmful to the consumers. There are many bodies, regulatory institutions now to protect the consumer, to ensure that the organizations are providing what they are promising and giving the value which they are saying they are. And so in case they are not, then the consumer has some protection. It has, usually there are some tribunals, etc., where the complaints can be lodged to ensure that they are getting the right value for their money. Business ethics and the financial world. Having said that the large businesses in the world have good business practices, I want to just clarify that it doesn't mean that all the ill practices and bad practices are here with us. And outside, when you step outside of this country and look at others, then there are only good and excellent practices. There are some examples that come to mind. The recent financial crisis was one. Is an example of poor ethical practices where the financial institutions were involved in activities which resulted in such a drastic impact on so many people in such a large part of the world. That also happened. So the practices that do exist, people will suffer, sometimes others will also suffer. Large organizations can collapse because of ethical practices and because of wrong information. The bubble is growing and there is inaccuracy and dishonesty. And one day, where the bubble bursts, the organization just collapses. So we are going to refer to Anjumani Sansari to reflect on his experience of how corporations are, first of all, accepting and adopting good practices, as well as those that are adopting poor practices and where there is a lack of ethical practice in the business and financial world.
तो अंजुम साहब, फिर आप ये बताइए कि आजकल जो हमारे हालात हैं बिज़नेस एथिक्स के हवाले से, दोनों माशरे में भी और हमारी बिजनेसेस में भी, तो उनके क्या असरात हैं और हमें किस तरफ देखना चाहिए?
शायद देखें, आजकल तो जो हालात हैं ना वो कुछ काफ़ी जो है ना ख़राब हैं. जैसे वो है ना नागुफ्ता बे, उस किस्म के कुछ हालात हैं. बट एट द सेम टाइम देयर इज़ अ रे ऑफ होप एज वेल, that there are organizations which are realizing the importance of the subject and they're working on it. However, I think one of the things that we need to really look at it, because you had asked me from the point of view of the society in general, the country in particular, and what impact it is having on the corporate sector as such. I think it all has to start from us as individuals. We've got to do a little soul searching ourselves as to what kind of people are we. Are we people who believe in these kinds of norms and values? Do we have those values as such, as something that we practice at home with our families, with our friends, and in our work environment or not? If we believe in it, this changed because we all together become a society. It starts from, जैसे मैं कहता हूँ लोगों को कि जी पहले फ़र्द होता है, फ़र्द से अफराद बनते हैं, अफराद से जो है ना एक ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल बनता है, फिर एक जो है ना कम्युनिटी बनती है, फिर एक सोसाइटी बनती है, माशरा बनता है. दैट्स व्हाट इट इज़. अगर हम देखें, हम लोग सब, हमारी कोई वैल्यूज़ नहीं है, हम बहुत गलत तरफ निकल रहे हैं सबके सब. अगर आप अपने मुल्क की तरफ इस वक्त एक नज़र डालें तो नज़र ये आता है कि जी जो सामने नज़र आता है वो तो आपको बहुत बुरे हालात में खाते हैं. बट उसके बावजूद आई थिंक देयर इज़ अ साइलेंट मेजॉरिटी विच डज नॉट बिलीव इन इट. I think what is needed right now is that silent majority get activated. That majority gets activated and starts to work towards changing the norms and the behavioral patterns as such. And if that takes the control, I think everything would set right. It will change the way the people behave within their own private environments, with their families, with their friends. They would behave in a changed way, definitely in the work environments also. And that will change the corporate culture. And if our leaders also, but leaders are from us. When I say leaders, leaders are from us. We determine who would be the leader. And a lot of responsibility lies on us as people as well. When we say we don't have good leaders, that's why we are going towards nowhere, who has brought those leaders up? We are the people who are responsible for bringing those leaders. They come from us. So if we can change ourselves, we will be contributing towards the change in society. A change starts at an individual level, and from there onwards, it takes a snowball effect and starts to change the entire society.
Final thoughts on business ethics. Where would we be without it? So now it is for us to think where we are going to be with good practices and where we are going to be without good practices. Most of us will realize that we are plainly seeing in everyday events where we are without the good practices. It is now for us to think, what if we were to adopt good practices? What if we were to have the right kind of approach to this? Where would the society be? Where would the businesses be? Where would the people be? How would this environment be? Where would your children be and their generations? So in conclusion, I like to say that this is something that doesn't end. It goes on and on and on. And basically, the guidance that has been given to us, we are guided that we are responsible for our activities and deeds, amal. All life must come to an end. Everyone has to die one day. We believe that the only thing that we can take with us are our deeds, good and bad. And the existence beyond the life of this world is going to be based on the record of those deeds, which is going to be an accurate record. And so that existence, we can have many rewards and have a blissful life, or we can land ourselves into great and grievous punishment. We have to bear that in mind in conducting our lives and conducting our deeds, and we have to find the right way of adopting the methods of good deeds that will lead us to a good life on an endless basis. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for listening to this course. Allah Hafiz.